Welcome to Should I Move There? And today we're going to be talking about the pros and cons of living in Anchorage, Alaska with MJ Motta. MJ, thank you so much for being on the channel with us.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here today with you. So it's all pros. There's no cons today. Surprise.
Oh, no. um, like lies. Oh, no. Okay. So I'm so excited because Alaska is, huge part of the United States that we purchased from Russia. Thank you, Russia, for that land. Ironically, now with political things going on. But let's dive into these pros and for living in the area, because I'm sure a lot of people have wondered, what is it like if I were to have first, how did you even get to Alaska? I feel like that's a better question.
So for the viewers, I'm MJ Motta, like he said, and I am the team lead for a local team called the Key Realty Group. And I am very grateful that about 5 years ago, military life brought me here. So my ex-husband had PCS to J-Bear. It was not on his wish list of places to go, but it was on mine. And as the saying goes, happy wife, happy life. We got to come to Alaska. And it's the best thing that ever happened to me. I love it here. This is my personal and professional place that warms my heart. All pun intended, because it's pretty darn cold out today. But military life is what I'm grateful for, having brought me here to Alaska. And now I get to call this home forever.
Awesome. Okay. Well, I love that. Let's go into the pros. So number one, we have the beauty of Alaska.
I think everybody from Alaska or who has been to Alaska at any point in their life would agree that the number one pro is definitely the beauty. So what you see in pictures, what you see online, what you see in Alaska gold mining, everybody asks if that's, real life here. And it is. What you see does not even do our state justice. It is so breathtaking and just so beautiful in all of its natural beauty that you really have to come here and see the beauty for yourself. It's just absolutely stunning here.
Awesome. What's I guess when people come, they're surprised. They're like, oh, I didn't realize this was here. Maybe for the beauty in for Alaska.
So everybody knows that we have mountains, of course, that's kind of a given, but I don't think people realize that we have the shoreline as well. So when we take people south from where we live and we're going into what we call the Kenai Peninsula, there's a beautiful windy road that runs along the shoreline, and you can see the water, you can see the tide, oftentimes you can see beluga whales. Depending on where else you go, you can see ships out in the bay. So I think people think of Alaska as just a whole bunch of trees and we're really secluded. We don't live in igloos, by the way. A lot of people are surprised. We have real beautiful houses here. We're not Eskimos. But one of the things I think people don't realize when they come here is that we have beautiful shoreline. We have beautiful sandy beaches. Not beaches that you would imagine in, say, Florida, but we do have Alaskan beaches. And I think that always really throws people for a loop. And it's one of their favorite experiences traveling here.
Love that. Yeah. Do you ever see people swimming in the water, in the summer or?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been in a lot of the lakes here. We have people who do the polar bear plunge in the wintertime. I am not that brave, but they do it. We have a season called the boar tide, where we get large enough waves in the bay that they will come out and surf the waves. And that's a big to-do. I have yet to get to go see that in person. It's one day a year, depending on how the tides are coming in. And people get in their dry suits, probably, my goodness, they've got to be at least 4 millimeters thick, I would think. And they go out there and they surf this boar tide wave, and it's a really big deal. It's wicked cool. I'm excited to see that in person for myself.
Oh, that's so cool. I just added that to my bucket list.
Nice.
That's amazing. Let's go into the second pro, the adventure.
Unlimited. I mean, anything you could ever imagine doing outdoors, you can do here. So when we first were moving here in 2017, I had a paddleboard because we were previously stationed in Florida at Tyndall Air Force Base. And I thought, well, shoot, I'm moving to Alaska. I'm not going to need a paddleboard. So one of my friends and I actually traded my paddleboard for a mountain bike. And when I got here, I quickly realized that there was shoreline, there are beaches, there's water. I can go paddleboarding.
Oh.
So I definitely miss having a paddleboard here. I do need to invest in another one. But unlimited adventure. You can do anything from swimming, paddleboarding, paddle boating, to fishing, to wintertime sports, skiing, snowboarding, snowshoeing. It's unlimited. You can ice climb, you can rock climb, you can hike, bike, literally everything. There's unlimited adventure to do here. The only thing I haven't found here that I did back east was splunking. Do you know what
No,
splunking is?
no, what's that?
Okay, so I used to be a whitewater raft guide in Maine, and we would go up these mountainsides. We'd pull over in the eddy lines of the river, and we'd climb up these mountainsides. And there were places where you can actually drop into the caves, and that's known as splunking. So you would go into these caves. It would be the heat of summer, 90 degrees in Maine, and it would be I felt like it was negative in those caves, but now that I've experienced negative here, I know it wasn't that cold. I was just being a baby. But it was really cool. So splunking, you're actually dropping down into the side of a mountain into these caves and kind of wandering around inside them. And that's the only thing that I've ever done adventure-wise outside of Alaska that I haven't found here. But there are so many things that I've experienced only here in Alaska. So our adventure is unlimited. There's never a slow season. There's never a season that you stop adventuring. There is something to do all 365 days a year for adventure.
Wow, amazing. Okay, let's go pro number 3, community.
Our community is wonderful here. We're the largest state in the U.S. We're double the size of Texas. For all the Texans listening, we are larger than you. But our community is so small and so close. We have a really large military population. So for anybody who has ever served, first of all, thank you for your service. For anybody who has ever served or been a dependent or lucky enough to be a spouse and have lived the military life, you know that community is everything. And I think that's where our community and our culture really derives from here, is because we have such a large military population. We are all transplants here in a sense. And so we really gravitate towards each other and build that amazing community. And it's so strong here and it's so supportive. And even in the real estate industry, most often real estate is very cutthroat, right? We're all self-employed. We're all, commission-based. So real estate is very hard to usually have that sense of community, but we even have that here locally. We all support each other. We help each other out when needed. And the sense of community here is just absolutely phenomenal, regardless of what facet you're seeing it in. It's here, it's strong. And it's the best community I've ever experienced, for sure.
Love that. I'm a big person of community. I'm curious. So like, when I was in Texas visiting my cousin, she was like, "Oh yeah, my neighbors, like 2 or 3 of them are from California." What's like the feel like when you talk with people or neighbors who have like moved to the area? Like where is everyone from?
Everywhere, because we're all military transplants. I've helped a lot of clients move here from North Carolina. That seems to be a really big, base where people are PCSing from Fort Bragg up here to Fort Richardson. I have a lot of clients I've helped from Colorado, so that's another location we seem to get a lot of people PCSing. After Tyndall Air Force Base was hit by Hurricane Michael in can't remember the year, 2019, I want to say. No, I lied. Somewhere in the teens. They got hit by Hurricane Michael, and unfortunately, a lot of their base was wiped out. So we did get a lot of folks who came here from the panhandle of Florida. But really everywhere. We get a lot of folks from overseas, from Spangdahlem Air Force Base in Germany, from Italy, from Guam. So, we have a really, really large military population. And so I think where we come from is everywhere.
No, that's good. Yeah, it's interesting when people gather from all over the world and you end up in one place, because it makes a really interesting community. I feel like
it does.
You're able to like just chat with people and, oh yeah, I'm from I'm from wherever. And you're like, oh my gosh, I've been there. So let's go to the 4th pro, which is wildlife.
Oh, it's amazing. I can probably see something in, well, maybe not today. Maybe they're a little cold. We got our first official snowfall yesterday. We got snow last month, just a dusting. It didn't really stick for long. We got a little bit more of a dusting earlier in the year. But as the snow comes down the mountains, so does our wildlife. My teammate Ron was out at a showing yesterday and saw a wolf. And I've never gotten to see a wolf in person. And I think that's so exciting.
Cool.
We see moose almost daily. If you enjoy hiking and going through the mountains in the summertime, you're almost guaranteed to see bear while you're out. So wildlife is just incredible here. Most people only ever see eagles on TV. We can drive almost anywhere that we're going to pass a shoreline and see not one, but maybe half a dozen eagles.
Cool.
We see doll sheep right on the side of the highway. I mean, we just have incredible wildlife and we see them very frequently. We're very fortunate in that.
That's
So
amazing.
wildlife is awesome. We don't just see them on postcards. They're here in our backyards. We have a couple moose that live in our backyard.
Oh, really?
So, yeah.
That's so amazing. I've never seen one in person. I've seen some buffalo in person, but yeah, that's about it. Okay. That's so cool. So if you're into that, then Alaska seems like the place to be. Let's go to number 5, which is opportunity.
Opportunity, just like adventure, is unlimited. There are so many like mom and pop shops, whether it be restaurants, stores, whatever you can imagine. There's unlimited business opportunity here. So we have most of the big box stores. So like, we don't live out in the wild, guys. We have Lowe's, we have McDonald's, we have Texas Roadhouse, we have normal grocery stores. We part of the Kroger brand. So we have most of the big box stores and most of the fast food restaurants. But we really pride ourselves in supporting local owned businesses because they are really what drives our economy here. And we're very, very supportive of locals. So anytime you open up something that's locally owned and operated, veteran owned and operated, that's not one of the large corporate names, our community is going to flock to you. They're going to support you as long as you have, good product or service and good customer service. You are going to strive. You're really going to strive. So our opportunity here for business is literally, it's unlimited. I mean, you can invest in real estate. Of course, I'm a realtor, so that's my favorite thing for people to have opportunity with. But there's opportunity even seasonally. So working on the slope, being a hunting guide, being a fishing guide, whatever you can imagine you want to do, the opportunity is here for you.
Awesome. Okay, let's dive. Oh, actually, wait. You mentioned stores. I have to ask about Costco because I love Costco.
We do have Costco.
Okay, cool. Sweet.
We have 2 Costcos actually. And we used to have Sam's Club. It was right outside the gates of J Bear and they closed on us. I was wicked sad when that happened. I loved Sam's. But yes, we have Costco. We have 2 and it's nice to have one.
Sam's couldn't hang. Yeah, big fan of Costco though. I've been to Sam's Clubs a couple times, so let us know in the comments, guys, which one you like better, Sam's Club or Costco. Well, let's transition to the cons of living in the area. So number 1 on your list, you have darkness.
Yeah, so a lot of people feel that they have seasonal depression because we do have a lot of darkness. So there's kind of a misconception, right? So most people think from like December to March, it's just pitch black. Yeah. It feels that way at times, but the reality is that the sun just doesn't rise above the mountains. So there's still light in the sky for certain, hours of the day. We just don't see the sun, and it's not very strong because it doesn't rise above the mountains.
Let me pause. I'll pause the recording. Cool.
Okay.
Just restarted recording. You're good.
Okay. So it's just that the sun doesn't rise above the mountains, so it's just not as bright. You don't see it, so it does feel dark. So you may have heard of the term summer solstice and winter solstice. Yeah. So our summer solstice starts on June the 21st, and we essentially lose 6 minutes of sunlight from June 21st until December 21st. So that's the transition from 24 hours of light to darkness. And then as of December 21st, we start gaining 6 minutes of sunlight back each day. So there are northern parts of Alaska that truly experience full darkness. We are fortunate where our sun still rises, just again, not above the mountains. So we don't see the light for as many hours a day, and it's not as bright.
Got it. I like the description you put, which is like it's just behind the mountains. So it's, of course, there's still light you're going to see. It's kind of like if you have a lamp and you put like a filter covering on it.
Yeah.
Type of deal.
It's still luminous. It's just not, you don't see it.
in the sky. Yeah.
That does cause a lot of seasonal depression out here. Some folks will really hype up their vitamin D intake in the winter to try to counteract that. A lot of people have what we call happy lights. So there are lights that they sell in our stores. I've never bought one, so I can't attest to whether or not they work. And I don't know what the secret is behind the lighting, but there are happy lights, as they're called, that people will utilize in the wintertime to try to combat that.
Is that like the red light stuff or the red?
No, it's a white light.
Okay. We're gonna throw one up here on the screen. Okay. So you guys can see what that is. I've just heard of red light therapy where it's good for you and like mood, feeling, health, general.
Yeah.
But let's go on to the second con, which is the cold.
It's cold here.
How cold is it here, MJ, in Alaska?
So fortunately, in the Anchorage area where I'm located, I have only experienced -21, but we tend to only sit around like the negative single digit numbers, like for the most part, but I've experienced -17, -21. Those are the two coldest days that I can recall during the time I've lived here. And my way to combat it was I just went outside and I went hiking, and I came back with really cool frozen eyelashes, frozen nose hairs. It was fantastic, and it created awesome photo opportunities. So, I mean, as much of a negative it is, it's all what you make of it, right? So just still getting out there and doing something that you enjoy, that fuels your soul, will combat that coldness. But you're like a popsicle. It's really cold.
No, yeah. If your eyelashes have never frozen, you've never experienced the cold.
No,
that's I didn't even know that can happen.
I'll have to send you a picture.
Yeah, that's so cool. But also, if you don't like the cold, then I'm sure people they leave during certain periods, as you're alluding to, and they go elsewhere. They go to Mexico for those 3 months, maybe, or something.
A lot of people snowbird from here. I actually did it for a winter myself.
And what was your experience like for as a snowbird?
It was too hot for me. I missed the snow. I missed having a white Christmas. My birthday is in February, and I'm just used to doing some type of snow adventure for my birthday every year. So it wasn't for me. I enjoyed the fact that I didn't have to drive in the weather and the darkness, because I am not a fan, nor am I good at driving in weather or darkness. But it wasn't for me. I'm just going to stay here.
yeah, that's good. At least you try it. That's good. I love trying different things and discovering that it's not for you. Because you're like, wow, at least I tried that, and now I know that's not for me. Let's go into the third con. So speaking of driving, which third con you have marked as traffic.
Yeah, so where I'm located, there is one way in, there's one way out, and that is via a 2-lane highway called the Glen. And vehicles are not the ones that traffic the Glen. Our moose find it appropriate to cross the highway as well. So one thing here, for purposes of moose and our salmon, again, we are very stronghold to supporting our wildlife out here. One of the ways we do that is we don't put salt on our roads, because allegedly it attracts moose. Apparently they like salty stuff, so it attracts them to come out into the middle of the road. They still come out in the middle of the road, and we don't use salt, so I don't know how true that is. But also the runoff into our water can hurt the salmon population and strive on our salmon population. So we don't put salt on our roads, and instead they put gravel on our roads. So you're from Alaska and you live in Alaska when your windshield is cracked year round, because we just get rocks in our windshield. And because of that, a lot of our insurance companies also don't have glass coverage. So that is a con, in my opinion.
It's
But
like
yeah, drive.
it's like they know. They're like, well, your problem. Deal with it.
Yeah,
You're like, what? You're not gonna
yeah,
cover me? You're like, no insurance cover? No, sorry.
yeah.
That's
And
really
surprisingly, I mean, no offense to our DOT and to the people who do the plowing, but you would think they would be better at clearing our roads. And like, I have driven, we were stationed in Utah. I've driven in winter there just fine. I grew up in Connecticut, drove there in the winter just fine. Massachusetts, New York, like all these places that get a tremendous amount of snow, ice, sleet, weather. I've driven in all these other places and never had a problem. And here, like, I don't even know. I won't go on a rant, but our roads are not good in the wintertime. They're so bad. So I just opt not to drive and to use all the precautionary for safety as I possibly can. But yeah, the driving and the traffic here is definitely a con just based on our interstates and what we have available to us in terms of what we can commute on.
makes sense. And for driving, like, what are people typically driving in the area? Like, what kind of cars and stuff?
If you don't have four-wheel drive, you're definitely a transplant here and you haven't gone through a winter yet. Most of us have studded tires. There are some areas of the state that you'll see signs that say chains required because the steepness of the mountains and the inability for them to be consistently maintained creates a lot of danger. So, you know, depending on where people live up in the mountainsides, they may also have chains on their tires. So, but primarily all, you know, like SUV style vehicles and trucks is what you see most of here.
Awesome. Got it. Then, yeah, that makes sense. It's definitely needed in the area. Four-wheel drive. So con number 4 you have as is expensive. Talk a little bit more about cost of living and all of that.
It's very high. So the reason that the cost of living is so high is because everything has to be transported here, whether it comes on a plane or on a barge, or even if the big wheelers or the 18 wheelers need to go or are driving and delivering something here, they have to go through Canada. So just, you know, customs and the road at length that they're taking to get here, you know, we feel that price, that inflation due to the cost of actually getting everything here. Also, what I've been told is it makes more financial sense for our fishing industry to ship the fish elsewhere. So for those restaurants and entities that actually buy our local resources and, you know, fish and all of our sea life, so to speak, for, you know, serving or for selling, they have an inflated price because, again, it makes more sense for that industry to ship out because they make more money off of shipping out of the state than keeping it in state. So, you know, the food can be more expensive. And then just parts for everything, you know, most often we have to get everything shipped from out of state. So we have that inflated shipping cost. It's just more expensive in general because we're not technically attached to the continental United States. So that cost of getting the goods here is then in turn put into our prices to purchase.
Yeah, because you guys are like all on your own in a sense, like up there. I guess similar to Hawaii, where everything has to get like shipped. Even though you guys aren't an island, but it can, I mean, can it feel like you're in an island sometimes? Like,
oh yeah, we feel very isolated. We feel very much like we're on our own island. One thing that I would say is like wicked stressful about getting things here too is like, let's use Amazon for example. If you go on Amazon, it'll say only ships to continental United States. It'll say only ships to within the United States, I think is the little error message that comes up. We are part of the United States. We're attached through Canada. There's still a road to get here. You can literally drive here. You can't drive to Hawaii, so I get why theirs might be separate because you can't drive there, but you can drive here. We have post offices here. We get flat rate boxes here. So that can be really stressful sometimes when you're trying to acquire something that you can't get locally, but they say only ships to the United States. for the United States.
Is it
To get to us.
have you had like when you order something on Amazon, like some people they'll just like cancel your order and some things will come, some things won't, or how does that like?
They won't even let you order it. Like that error message will come up. And like sometimes you'll write the seller and they're like, oh, well, the shipping is too expensive. I'm like, oh, we get flat rate boxes.
Yeah, you have to kind of like teach them.
We have to educate them.
Yes. Oh, that's interesting. Crazy. Okay. Let's go to con number 5. We have is travel.
Yeah, so this is a pro and a con. So travel within the state is phenomenal. We can, within 3 to 5 hours, we can be to all of these amazing places. So I can drive south and I can go on a fishing charter. I can go on a little cruise ship and see all the wildlife that's in the water. I can go north a couple of hours and I can go to year-round Christmas in the Santa Claus house. I can do everything within the state within a matter of driving a couple of hours or hopping on a plane for a couple of hours. So travel within the state is definitely a pro. It's, again, that opportunity, the adventure is endless here when it comes to travel within the state. But trying to get out of the state. So like my family is back east. I have friends that are on the West Coast. I have friends and family in the Midwest. So traveling to go see anybody is atrocious. I mean, there's really not a lot of direct flights out of here. I can get to Washington direct. Sometimes a year I can get to Arizona to see my stepdaughter direct. There's somewhere in California, I want to say it's LA actually, and then I believe Oregon, but there's not very many options for direct flights. And those direct flights are still 3 to 4 hours. And then you have to, hop from there wherever else you're going. And it's wicked expensive. So travel, the reason I put it on the con list is because I love my state, but I also love my friends and family that don't live here.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to afford to be able to see them more often than I currently do. So that's why I put it on the con list.
No, that makes sense. Like, it's since there is a less population, like, I don't even, what, I don't know if you know off the top of your head, but like the population of Anchorage, like what is...
So Alaska as a whole, I believe we're sitting around 700,000. I'd have to double check on the stats for you. I'll get back to you on that, Brian. I'll check stats.
Yeah, no worries. But yeah, like 700,000 people, like in the whole state as a whole. So it's it makes sense why there's not like a lot of direct flights to a lot of different places. Like you kind of have to go to a different hub and then connect to different spots. I'm a big when people come visit you, or actually, I'm sure that's probably a lot harder of an ask, like getting people like, hey, let's do Christmas in Alaska rather than doing it back home where more people are at, I should see, I guess. Thanks, MJ, again, and we'll see you in the next episode. And your MJ's info will be down below. If you have any other questions, feel free to reach out to her.